Hello, hello friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, having some very productive days with no tech issues. Shocker. It's 99% of the reason usually when there's a gap in me uploading is tech issues. Anyway, wanted to share another Halloween card with you guys. This one with a very non-traditional color palette. This was actually inspired by pattern paper I picked up last year, the year before. I can't even remember. I've been hoarding it forever. Anywho, there's something about adding pink to Halloween cards that I love, and I've shown that in many videos. But doing more of like a pastel pink, a pastel sort of orange, like a peach color. I don't know. I love it. So that's what I did. I have a piece of Simon's smooth white cardstock. I'm just working on my little waffle flower stencil mat. And I've got two different colors of Pawsitively saturated inks. I have Bubblegum and Cantaloupe. And I'm using large blending brushes and just doing a really simple blend, going from the Cantaloupe to the Bubblegum to white. So just super easy blending. And then I pulled out another piece of cardstock and I'm just blending the Bubblegum color onto a portion of it because I'm going to die cut that with the Sentiment wafer die. This is the Here for the Booze wafer die. I think this came out last year. I think this was part of the like limited edition Halloween card kit. I will have links to everything I used. It's all still available. But I did my blending and then I misted the back of the large blended piece. Just light mist of water. That just helps to get a better impression. And it also helps prevent cracking, because I'm going to run this through with the Cute Ghosts embossing folder. I used this folder in a Halloween video last year, but I did it with candy corn colors and the like cute little gnomes. I will link to that at the end of this video if you guys missed it. You could emboss and then ink after. I just chose to do the inking first. I think if you ink after, the like raised images will pick up a bit more ink, which is great too. But again, I was going for kind of softer colors, and then I'm going to add black splatter as is tradition. So after I'd embossed it, I put it in my little splat box, and of course black soot, distress paint, and a fan brush, splattered the daylights out of that, set it aside. I die cut my sentiment in the outline, set those aside, and then I die cut the remainder of that white cardstock with the Friendly Ghost wafer die. This has made many appearances in my Halloween card series over the years. I'm not even sure when this one came out. 2017. So that's 5 years old. And again, still available. And it's one of my faves. So I die cut it from white cardstock. And then I used just the scraps of black cardstock to create little handles. When I am covering any sort of die cut or small piece with embossing powder, creating a little handle like this, one, makes it easier to keep your fingers from getting burned, but it also enables me to completely cover the entire piece with embossing ink and embossing powder, and it's not going to come off, where I'm holding it. So I just used those little scraps, added some adhesive to them, stuck them to the back of each of these little die cut ghosts, and then I'm pressing clear embossing ink all over each of these pieces, and then I'm going to emboss them with glow-in-the-dark embossing powder. There are multiple brands that carry glow-in-the-dark embossing powder. The three main ones are Wow, Lawn Fawn, and Brutus Monroe. All three are great. I think all three are probably most likely exactly the same. I can't tell a difference between them. I will link to all three. Check them out. It's fun. Again, I've used the glow-in-the-dark embossing powder in various videos, and it's just fun. It's such a fun little element you can add to your cards, and it works great too for like galaxy theme, space theme type cards, or little camping type themes, like anything like that. You could use glow in the dark embossing powder. Why not? But I tend to pull it out at Halloween. So I coated them, melted them with my heat tool, and then repeated the process a second time so that I get a nice thick coating of this embossing powder and also get more glow in the dark goodness. So I just repeated the process. I pressed the clear embossing ink, I poured over the embossing powder, melted that with my heat tool, and then depending on what I'm doing, sometimes when I remove my little cardstock handles from whatever I've heat embossed, sometimes there might be little rough edges because the embossing powder, you know, stuck to the handle or stuck to the very edge. If that happens, I just quickly blast that spot with my heat tool to melt it. It didn't happen this time, shockingly, but that's how I fix that to give it a smooth edge. But it just depends sometimes. Some embossing powders just like to be a little more finicky than others. So I've got my little ghosts, and they're all going to be fabulous. And I'll show at the end too, them glowing in the dark. They're just fun. So I've got those. And then my die cut sentiment, I die cut from that piece of cardstock that I had blended that bubblegum ink onto. And then I'm using just my craft tacky glue with the fine tip to add my adhesive. And then the outline for this wafer die, I die cut from black cardstock. So drew on the adhesive, press that onto the outline. And then I decided on the inside, I was originally just going to stamp the sentiments, but then since I am keeping this a little more simple, I couldn't resist adding a little bit extra. So I just took those two inks again and blended them onto the inside of the card, but just a little bit. You know, I'm not pulling them up all the way like I do for the background. I just added a little bit of the cantaloupe to the very bottom and then blended a little bit of that bubble gum. Let that just fade out to white. Once I was happy with my little blend, I'm going to use those same colors to stamp my sentiments. And my sentiments are from the Spook Up Some Fun stamp set. This came out, I think, a couple years ago. But the sentiments I thought were perfect for this. So I pulled those out and just put them on acrylic blocks. And I'm stamping right on top of my STENCIL mat. People have been commenting lately. They're like, because I haven't been using my Misty. I've just been, especially when I'm stamping with the Pawsitively saturated inks. One, these inks stamp sentiments like a dream. And two, when you've got the STENCIL mat, the silicone beneath your cardstock surface, it gives it a little bit of cushion so you get a perfect stamped image. Still love my Misty, just it depends on what I'm creating, you know? So, stamp my sentiments, and then my background is now dry, like all that splatter is dry. So I trim this down with my guillotine trimmer to roughly 3 3/4 by 5 inches, just smaller than what my A2 card will be. And then I coated the back of this with Studio Caudia foam tape. And in a previous video, I used the black foam tape. This stuff is the same. It is super sticky, like crazy sticky, and I like it because it means nothing's ever going to fall apart. But because it's so sticky, one, with all foam adhesives, I recommend the Tim Holtz mini snips that I always link to. They're Teflon coated, so they don't stick really to sticky things like foam tape. And then to remove the backing paper, because super sticky foam tapes, the backing paper, trying to pull it off is a nightmare. A sharp object like scissors, the edge of scissors, or a die pick, a pin, that sort of a thing. I just work that under the corner. It pulls up that little bit of release paper, and then trust me, it's a million times faster than trying to get your fingernail under there. So got that popped into place, popped the sentiment into place, and then I popped my little glow-in-the-dark ghosts into place with some craft tacky glue. And I shockingly did not add any other bling. I'm just going to pair this with a black envelope. I just wanted, this is me doing clean and simple. This is like as far as I can go, and I justify it because I still got to add splatter and they glow in the dark. So this was really fun, and I really like this soft color combo. It's just fun. So like I said, I'll show in a second here what these look like glowing in the dark. And then as always, I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I'll have a supply list. I'll link to all the supplies I used, so you can check that out below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching, for subscribing, for the thumbs upping and the commenting. I really appreciate the engagement. It helps push out my videos. And yeah, I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye.